The memories that I remember most from Yeshivat Kerem B'yavneh are definitely the friends. There were some wonderful, wonderful people there, all interested in intense Torah study, and I definitely gained from being around such wonderful people. I also remember the Rabbeim that were there who shared a passion for teaching Torah in a way that I had never encountered in my life before. And most profoundly, I remember the Beis Medrash, the vibrancy of a couple of hundred people learning every day had a profound impact on my life as well.
My memories of Kerem B'yavneh are focused on the extraordinary study of Torah throughout the day with people of the highest caliber, extraordinary Rebbeim, extraordinary peers, all of whom focused on Torah excellence day in and day out consistently.
I especially have great memories of my interactions with the Rosh Yeshiva of Goldvich Zatzal. We were able to build a bit of a kesher, a bit of a bond, and that is one memory I cherish greatly. Also, I remember greatly, and I remember the special bonds I was able to create with many of the rabbim, both as chavrusas and also in the shiurim, in the daily lessons and daily Torah that we learned together.
One of my fondest memories is, going back during my breaks and talking to my friends about the different machlokesim and nafkaminas based on the sugya we were learning. And I really thank Kerem B'yavneh because the emphasis that the yeshiva placed on learning and the enjoyment of learning and the simcha in learning transitioned to later on in life.
My most powerful memory from Kerem B'yavneh is the fact that I had a special opportunity to be able to be a chavrusa in the morning with Rosh Yeshiva of Greenberg for over a year. It was a chance to be able to see a true Talmid Chacham and to be able to learn what a role model of a Ben Torah is supposed to be.
I have very fond memories of the Yomim Noroim I spent there, the Nigunim sang by Rafi Posen, who was there at the time, are still with me to this day. I try to use them whenever possible. I also remember the Shio Klali given by Rabbi Goldvicht. Made a very, very good and strong impression on me.
I had the privilege to walk with Rav Stav. Rav Stav used to take walks after Shir, asking him, personal questions, and really he felt like a special connection with his Talmidim, and really felt that he really cared about them, and really wanted them to become great people and guide them in the best way possible.
I was one of the few young men who had the zchus to learn one-on-one with the Rosh Yeshiva. The Rosh Yeshiva would often say to me, "Kum velvul," my Yiddish name, "Soll man sitzen and lernen and chazren dem Shir."
Motzei Shabbos, when we finished Ma'ariv Altira Avdi Yaakov, I remember the whole yeshiva singing of Goldvich Zecher Tzadik Kodesh Levracha there, and it was just a tremendous, a beautiful evening, Motzei Shabbos there.
In Shana Aleph, we went on a tiyul up north to Tzfas and Tveria. On Friday, we went to Tzfas and we went and visited the Kivrei Tzadikim. Came back to Tveria for Shabbos, all spiritually uplifted and charged, and Reb Lachman gave a memorable and unforgettable tish.
The Shabbos experience in the dining room, the Purim was a phenomenal experience that I remember fondly. It was all of the Yomim Tovim, the davening on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. You experienced the davening at Kerem B'yavneh, and you felt it wasn't long enough, believe it or not. It was an experience that students from Kerem B'yavneh never forget.
The first thing that struck me when I came to the yeshiva, not really knowing what a yeshiva would be like, was that all the boys appeared to be normal. These were all regular people like myself. And of course the boys being in the army at the time also made a very great impression, so that people were engaged in the world, but when they were in the yeshiva, they were extremely serious.
There was a tremendous combination of a love of learning and a love of Eretz Yisrael and Medinat Yisrael that was there. There were a lot of specifics, obviously, that went into that. The way Yom Ha'atzmaut and Yom Yerushalayim was celebrated, the daily din in the Beis HaMidrash of people learning from early in the morning until late at night. And those are probably my strongest memories and impressions.
When I look at my years at Kerem B'yavneh, they were really an oasis. Kerem B'yavneh was the place that I learn to think about things, develop myself, ask questions, and probe.
It's a cliche to say that Gemara learning helps develop your mind for being a lawyer, but I think it's true. There is a methodology and a certain logic and a certain way of approaching problems that you pick up and that become part of you when you spend a lot of time learning. That is definitely an assistance both in law school and at times in being a lawyer.
I try very hard to take those lessons learned in Kerem B'yavneh, especially in the areas of learning, of Torah learning, the value of Torah learning, and even the style of Torah learning. And I try very hard to transmit that both to my Talmidim and to my colleagues.
And sometimes professionally it can be hard to find time to do it, but I think back to those years in Kerem B'yavneh, and really it helps me find the energy and the time to put into Torah study, and it really enhances my life and the life of my family.
And my wife and I, Baruch Hashem, raised 5 children, all involved in Torah and education in their own individual fields, be they professional or otherwise, who are, till this day, living in Eretz Yisrael, supporting Eretz Yisrael, and supporting all Torah causes in Eretz Yisrael, Kerem B'yavneh amongst them.
The enthusiasm I have going to the shir with my father is reminiscent of my time at Kerem B'yavneh, and I thank the yeshiva for that.
I look back on saying I studied and I sat and learned at Kerem B'yavneh as being something that has strengthened my ability to think, to speak, to teach, to quote, to be able to open a sefer and to help others learn and grow in learning, especially in today's Jewish world, where the need to impart limud Torah and to have a knowledge of Torah is so critical to the future of the Jewish people.
After Night Seder, people would still be learning and still be so involved in learning, and the fact that they showed such an intensity for their learning was so impactful. I use that intensity in learning in Torah and really seeing HaKadosh Baruch Hu in my profession as well.
After I finished law school, I went to work for Davis Polk & Wardwell, a law firm in New York City that's been around since the 19th century. I had the pleasure of having a partner mentor who himself was a Kerem B'yavneh alum, and I got to work with him on a variety of legal matters. I can tell you that Kerem B'yavneh instilled in me a commitment to excellence, and to him as well a commitment to excellence. Not only excellence in terms of legal practice, but excellence in how you carry yourself within a law firm, within a professional career. Being a deeply committed Jew not only to Jewish law, Jewish practice, but demanding excellence of everything you do, both in Torah and professional life.
Kerem B'yavneh was an experience because it transformed me as a human being. You know, coming from a high school, a yeshiva high school in America, you never had that experience of learning 24/7. And that I first experienced at Kerem B'yavneh. And it was a transformative moment in my life to be able to literally devote an entire day to Talmud Torah.
Kerem B'yavneh represents a serious level of learning, a serious engagement with Torah, Eretz Yisrael, and Medinat Yisrael.
I've always felt that my experience in Kerem B'yavneh, the friendships that I made in Kerem B'yavneh, the learning opportunities that provided, my entry into the world of the yeshiva has been extremely helpful through all stages of my life.
It was years of probing, of questioning, self-discovery, and really a quest for truth and to understand more about myself and more about my religion.
My oldest son also attended Kerem B'yavneh for 2 years and had a tremendous 2 years there. I would highly recommend Yeshivat Kerem B'yavneh. It's an excellent, excellent yeshiva, and the camaraderie with the Hesder boys that are there is unsurpassed.
The message I would send to candidates thinking about Yeshivat Kerem B'yavneh is that it is an unbelievable Makom Torah, unparalleled in its passion, vibrancy, and really warmth. The warmth of Torah permeates the walls of the Beis Medrash. And if people are interested, if someone's interested in an intense year of Torah study, without distractions, with all the amenities that a person needs to engage in Torah study, there's no place like Yeshivat Kerem B'yavneh.
And certainly, there's no question that all of that, my love of learning, my love of Medinat Yisrael, my reverence for Tzahal was enhanced during my time at the yeshiva.
During any public shiur, not in the Bet Midrash, not in any rabbi's class, was there any discussion of anything except learning Torah. There was no politics, no machshava was imposed upon you. It was a serious environment of limud Torah, no matter what the political circumstances in Israel were. And I think that that speaks very strongly for a place that's committed to teaching its students how to be serious lomdei Torah.
And if a parent or parents seek to enhance their children's lives, the place that I would recommend that they be the Yeshiva of Kerem B'yavneh. It is a wonderful experience that children should have because it matures them and grows them into becoming Torah-loving Zionists, which I believe is our goal.
When I talk to people about Kerem B'yavneh, the one thing that stands out for me the most is what I call the she'ifa l'gadlus, the realization that we have limitless potential, and Kerem B'yavneh was a place where we were able to see the fact that our potential really has no boundaries. We had the opportunity to learn in a way that was beyond anything we had experienced before, and the realization that we are not bound by mediocrity. We're not bound by the things that we think are too difficult. Kerem B'yavneh taught us that when it comes to Torah, when it comes to learning, and frankly, we learn when it comes to life, we are able to achieve incredible things.
Directly behind me, we have the heart and soul of the yeshiva, the Beit Midrash. But we also have to deal with the goof of the yeshiva. And thanks to our friends from Los Angeles, we have the Hilton dormitory, which was renovated and spearheaded by the Krieger family. We also have the Mikveh Tahara that was built and also renovated by the Bronner. And last but not least, we have the future, the kids, the nursery here that has served the Kerem B'yavneh children, including my own, for many, many years, dedicated by the Krieger family. Throughout the years, you have continuously showed us your support and helped us contribute to this wonderful state of Israel. We hope that our relationship continues for many more years to enable us to keep on building this wonderful state.